for tuning in to the Illuminations Podcast. We love having you here. It is our mission to be a beacon of light on your journey towards conscious and mindful living. In our weekly episode, we bring you inspiring change makers in the field of spirituality, healing, personal growth, and wellness who share their insight and expertise so you can navigate your way to a happier, healthier, and more purposeful life. So what if your hardest moments in your life weren't just a setback, but a setup for peace? In this powerful episode, we're joined with Manish Pole, a globally respected yoga and mindfulness teacher and coach, who explains why emotional turmoil is natural and an essential part of the inner growth and healing journey. Drawing from ancient yogic principles and modern transformation stories, Manish offers practical tools to help you turn emotional chaos into clarity, calm, and courage. So whether you're navigating burnout or whether you're just recovering from a heartbreak, feeling stuck, this episode is your guide to harnessing a place where chaos is just a stepping stone to peace. So whether you're a yoga practitioner or new to the mat, this episode will inspire you to embrace your challenges and rediscover your inner peace. And so I'm glad to welcome Manish Pole on the Illuminations World Podcast, where we discuss all things healing, happiness, and peace. Thank you so much for being here, Manish.
Thank you, Soniyaa. My
I'm
pleasure.
so grateful to have you here. We go back a very long way. I've known you since the last 25 years. And believe it or not, my first ever yoga class in life was at the age of 21, where Manish was my teacher. He probably doesn't even remember.
I do. Thank you.
So it's been a crazy journey for everybody. But you know, Manish, you often speak about chaos as a gift.
Yeah.
And sometimes when people feel that they're going through turmoil and breakdown in their life, that is actually an opportunity for a turning point. So can you tell me a little bit about your life and where has chaos been a turning point? What got you on this journey? And we'd love to hear your personal story.
Thank you so much. You're absolutely right, because unless there is some chaos or turmoil, till we don't suffer, there is no question of who am I. There is no need for meditation or prayer or anything till we don't suffer. When we were kids, till we had first experienced sadness, there was no need to know who we are and so on. The moment suffering starts, then the inner journey starts. So without chaos, without the emotional chaos, you're not going to look within. Personally, for me, I was at the age of, like you said, at your age, I was 21 actually, when I lost a dear friend. And that told me that I was a writer those days. I was in an office, I was a copywriter. And that told me that life is too ephemeral and one needs to do what you want to do. And I didn't want to be stuck in an office. But that loss of my dear friend allowed me to start to look at myself and what I want to do. And that changed me. Many years later, about 3 years ago, I had a heartbreak. And eventually, you have this thought of heartbreak. You try to shut it out, doesn't work. You try to replace it with positive thinking, doesn't work. And eventually, you're forced to look at the nature of your mind. And that deep dive is meditation. So it's all fun and games till you don't suffer. When you suffer, then you really start to look at your mind, how it operates, who am I, and that is meditation.
I know. Yeah, but it sucks in so many ways that we have to learn through pain because, you know, when people are going through amazing things in their life, nobody questions why me.
Exactly.
But suddenly, you know, either it could be loss of health or loss of a relationship or death of a loved one is when a person starts to be confronted with their deepest, darkest fears, 100%. Their limiting belief systems. And that obviously very recently happened to me again. And so it really helps you to question life. But, you know, there are many people who question life and say, you know, why me and why did this happen to me? And I guess that's a very, very important question to ask. But there are so many people who also go by the principle that ignorance is bliss. Mm-hmm. So, and they just walk through life without really even taking the time to reflect on really what happened.
Sure.
Would you say that's just a coping mechanism, or do you feel that's a sign of resilience?
When I was much younger, I remember one of my students say, Manish, you're always smiling, you're always happy. I'd like to see you when you're sad. And I didn't know what that meant. And because of the sadness I experienced recently, that allowed me to see myself. So today I believe that if somebody goes through life without any turmoil, the universe is being unkind to them. Imagine going through 70 years of your life without any turmoil and you never have to look within. What a wasted opportunity. It's only when there's some, as Rumi would say, right, the light enters where the break happens. If whatever, the cosmos takes you through 70 years of life without any turmoil, the cosmos is being unfair to you. I think so.
And why do you think so many people in our society are conditioned to fear emotional breakdown instead of embracing them as opportunities? Because, I feel people are just kind of running away and not really wanting to face it. But, we understand that the Buddha says that, we have to look at experiences neutrally. Yeah. They're not good, they're not bad, they're not right, they're not wrong. They're just another experience. Sure. So where there is a time for joy, there's also a time for pain. Where there's a time for confusion, there's also a time for clarity. But people just want to stick to all the good things in life, what gives them pleasure, rather than really confronting the pain. Why is that so?
When you break it down to the individual, for you or for me, I could say that the body experiences pleasure, experiences a good health, and the mind interprets that as happiness. When the body experiences something that it doesn't like, the mind interprets that as stress. So today we see in neuroscience that the mind is about a nanosecond behind the body. Right. So this is the reliable instrument. When this body has some suffering, the mind will interpret that as something. So my heart is feeling heavy, my mind will interpret that as sadness. So it is in our interests. It is the way we've evolved that we want to feel good about ourselves. So as soon as we feel bad, we need to set it right. Then comes the stage where you realize that you're neither that happiness, neither this. All those years that we were happy, we were still just at the periphery.
Yeah.
It just so happened that there was happy thought running. It was not of our own construction. So when the sadness comes, it is but in our nature to go back to ease. And so we don't want those experiences.
And how does yoga teach us to stay in this feeling of discomfort and not escape it? Because I know in my experience, when I first started meditating, I couldn't sit still for even a second, because that is when the body and your energy and your mind brings up everything that you've been trying to avoid.
That's true.
And so rather than dealing with it and letting it come up to release, I think we just want to push it down, because like you said, this is a way of like a survival mechanism as such. So how would yoga help you sit with that discomfort, either yoga or meditation or any mindfulness practice?
So there are two ways. One is, see, when a yogi does, for example, if a yogi is doing like a posture for their core, in the mountains, they are not bothered about a six-pack, they are super fit. So why would he do it? So when he's doing that posture, the sympathetic nervous system kicks in, it's fight or flight response. By breathing slowly through that posture, he keeps the parasympathetic working. And therefore, he has trained his nervous system to work under stress. So the next time, say, you're shouting at me, you shouting is not stress, it's just a trigger. My response can be stressful or not.
Right.
So it's 100% under my watch. I can keep fooling myself that I'm a calm person till somebody slaps me. The moment somebody slaps me, it'll depend on my nervous system and not my ideas. So if my nervous system, like the yogi, has trained his posture to be calm, so we keep having the story of somebody slapping Jesus and he says, slap the other cheek. For him, his nervous system is so beautiful, he doesn't even perceive it as a threat.
Correct.
So non-violence is a concept. For him, he doesn't even see it as violence because it doesn't make a difference. Right. So that is one of the reasons why yoga works. So that way, anything that happens in your day-to-day life is not even perceived as stress. So yoga or meditation is not stress relief.
Right.
It's actually equipping your nervous system to such an extent that you can deal with anything.
Right.
That's on the yoga side. Since you asked me about the meditation side, the whole day, as you rightly said, I'm busy with things. So I don't see my trickery, I don't see my jealousy, I don't see all those things that I don't want to portray. When I sit by myself, I can see all the cunning little things I do. And it's not a nice thing to see. But then over a course of time, I begin to realize that even that is me. All of this is me. And as much as I'd like to project a happy, good human being, I also have all my little games. So when I can see and accept all of that, then there's nothing to fear.
Right. But they say a lot of what happens in our adult life and how like our nervous system is wired is a result of what happened in the first 7 years of our life. So is it possible to just work with yoga, meditation, and mindfulness, or do you sort of endorse other practices like hypnotherapy or regression therapy or constellation, which are modalities which constantly basically encourage you to go back to the past and kind of relive or review those experiences that happened in your childhood? What is your perspective on it? And is yoga and meditation enough, or is it just scratching the surface only?
Personally, I graduated in psychology, and what I came to realize is that it's all theories. So Freud has a theory, Jung has a theory, Adler has a theory, and these theories change every 20, 30 years. So having graduated in psychology, I found that it's all theories about other people's minds. There was no looking into my own mind. So when I lived 7 years with my teacher learning meditation, simply because I felt that psychology is the study of a sick mind and meditation is the study of a healthy mind. So it was just a continuation of mind study. Now, a lot of what we say that it's in the past and so on and so forth is theoretical. But in this moment, in this present moment, there is just this. This nervous system is equipped to be moment to moment to moment to moment. It's just my memory that may keep it. Suppose you and me walk out of here and I break my leg. Then I tell myself it was my karma. You don't even know whether that's true. Or I can tell myself that this was something that I did in my childhood. It's a theory that allows me to sleep well. It need not be true. So as long as we know that this is theoretical, that all these concepts, like you mentioned, hypnotherapy, it's in my subconscious, my unconscious, it's theoretical, it may help me, great, but it's not fundamentally existential. In this moment, the only existence is this now. So is it deeper than mindfulness and meditation? No, it's still at the surface. You've got consciousness and you've got the contents of consciousness. With the modalities you mentioned, the contents change. My sadness becomes happiness, but it never gives me any insight on consciousness itself. That would be meditation.
And you talk about breath work as a gateway to calm. Why is it so powerful? From your perspective, of course, we understand breath work.
Sure.
Share with us some insights, some unique insights about why the breath is a gateway to peace.
Sure. I personally like breathwork very much, whether it's pranayama, because it doesn't require any belief system. All the other spiritual trainings require a belief system. Now, you may have to believe that you have a soul. You've not seen it. Somebody has written it in some book. So most people just believe they have a soul. They've never really questioned it. Or a chakra system. I come from a Kriya Yoga tradition. Right. The reason I stepped away, it's been 15 years since I stepped away. Even though I'm initiated, all of that, it was very beautiful. But it requires a belief that we have a system inside. It doesn't suit me. I know I have a body, can I watch it? I know I have breath, can I watch it? I like something like that, which is palpable. Now, by watching my breath, I understand that my mind, which I call Manish, is just some neural circuits. And those neural circuits are directly impacted by the pace at which I breathe. So in this moment, if my breathing is chaotic, my mind is chaotic, and I find this moment chaotic. It has nothing to do with this moment, it has to do with my breathing. If my breathing is calm, this can be a very calm moment.
Right.
So I can keep having concepts about who I am, but essentially in this moment, if my breathing is calm, I am calm. Right. So I like breath for that.
One of my favorite books is called The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. And he talks about this voice or this constant chatter that is running in your mind.
Right.
And whether you are a yogi or whether you believe in constellation or hypnotherapy or, that your parents impacted, your childhood and your inner voice and that. How does breath work? Or firstly, do you believe that inner voice, that constant mental chatter that is constantly creating opinions about the world around you, that's constantly judging you, is a roommate in your head that's constantly playing and chatting away? And how does breath work, meditation, and yoga help to probably calm or witness that voice and identify that you are not the voice, you are the one who hears it, which I think is one of the most powerful things I've ever heard.
Sure. It's actually fascinating because it's a wrong thing to call it inner voice because it's very much at the periphery.
Right.
Yeah, what's going on, what I call my inner voice is just things that I've heard and repeated as thought.
Or like the mental chatter, as you would say.
Mental chatter.
Right.
Now, the one thing that meditation makes us do, and breath helps with that, because as long as I'm breathing, I'm thinking. So if I stop the breath at this moment, there is no breath, there is no thought, there is no Manish, there is no stress, there is no hope. What I call Manish is just my thought. And that thought happens only when I breathe. So if I stop my breath, none of this exists. In this moment, I can either be present or I can be thinking. So when I'm looking at a sunrise, the part of me that says this is beautiful is keeping me away from this moment. But in those moments, so many moments of our life when we have existed without our story, because we have tasted that, we are interested in meditation. So that means there is no voice even. Even what I call, like you said, the part in me that is listening to my... So you got to question, does that even exist? So in the ancient Vedic system, we say two birds are sitting on a branch. One bird is eating a fruit, the other is watching it eat. So this is human existence. Right now we are talking. Some part of us is even experiencing that we are talking. That is the Hindu outlook. And most people around the world believe that there is the self. But to question whether even this exists, as the Buddha refuted, this doesn't exist. So then where does that leave you, right? If there's nothing there that's permanently watching you, then a lot of our theories go away. Because if there's nothing there to watch you, how beautiful is that?
Yeah. Wow, that's very deep. But then, what happens to, these concepts which seem so far away for an ambitious entrepreneur who wakes up in the morning and is thinking about, how to strategize, how to plan. And that involves a lot of thinking, that involves a lot of strategy, that involves a lot of thought. So how does being present and just being still, it kind of conflicts, because I find that really challenging, because of course a part of me knows that there's a time to be still. In the morning, I experience my breathwork practice and I'm still for those few minutes. But can I apply that stillness even to the most chaotic times in my life, because that chaos requires thought and strategizing? So I feel like there's a bit of a conflict there.
Sure. What we call meditation generally in the modern world is manifestation.
Right.
Relaxation and not really meditation. How do I use my mind to do something that I desire? That's mental training. So you can affirm, you can visualize, you can manifest. So that's mental training, and that's exactly the way the mind should work. If I get what I want, that's a good mind. But that's not meditation. Meditation would imply just seeing without any desire to manipulate, just seeing how the mind works. So if I can see how Manish's mind, neural pathways and body operates without even the desire to make it happy, that, in my opinion, would be meditation. Once I make a desire to end result, that would be manifestation. That will not give me an insight into who I am. It will give me an insight into where I want to go. So for an entrepreneur, you need manifestation, you need visualization. There are moments when you'll do meditation, but if you really do meditation, you may even cease to be an entrepreneur. Not you, anybody. Because when you're tasting that beauty, then the question is, do I really want to share this beauty with people? If I want to share, yes, then I need to use my mind. Else, my goals, my targets may seem trivial when I've tasted that bliss. It's a risk.
Yeah, it's a risk.
It's a risk.
So how do you apply your practices? Because I know that you are quite a successful entrepreneur from the conversation we've just had. How is it that you apply stillness or manifestation or the art of knowing when to do and when to be, I guess?
Sure.
Would be the better question.
I don't manifest because I've never done it. And I'm very intrigued by being in the moment. And I've always run my business like that I do what I want to do. When I was very young, I asked the question, generally people say that as a teacher, you're serving. I don't have that mindset at all. So then what am I doing here? And I came to the conclusion that I really enjoy being or sharing meditation or yoga or breathing, not because I'm serving, but because I'm fully expressing. And then I began to notice that when I'm fully expressing, people around me enjoy as well. It so happens that the subject is beneficial for them. So I made peace with that very early. So I will do everything that I really want to do. And it so happens that because the subject is meditation and yoga, it's beneficial for people. The moment I start to think that I'm doing this to help so-and-so, it loses for me.
Altruistic ego that kicks in.
Yeah, I don't have that altruism in me. I want to enjoy. And in that enjoyment, it so happens that people also enjoy. So I run my business just like that. There is no, if you ask me where should I be a year, I really don't know.
Right.
I just want to have fun with every project.
You know, that's amazing because I completely align with your thoughts because I know there's this huge buzzword on manifestation, and apparently in 2024 it was the most popular word in the dictionary. So people are very, because there is a sense of spiritual materialism that comes with manifestation.
Exactly.
And somehow I feel that at the end of the day, it's just taking away from the flow.
Exactly.
And surrender and
exactly.
sort of a trust in existence.
100%.
That existence knows 1,000 times better than you about what would be the best path. And the moment you align with your soul purpose,
correct,
you move more into flow than force. You move more into a space of presence rather than trying to overpower everything.
True.
And that would defy a lot of what's been, practiced or spoken about, because there's a need to achieve a goal, and using spirituality, which is neither good or bad or wrong or right. But I feel like, what would be your perspective on the soul manifestation industry that's completely blown up? And how would kind of finding that balance of really trying to stay, with the moment and seeing where the moment takes you, rather than trying to force or control an outcome, because I might think X is great for me and this is what I really need.
Correct.
But as I sit with myself, and from what I understand you're saying, as I remain and watch myself, I might change my mind in a second and decide something else.
Exactly. Yeah. See, when we were kids, we wanted a toy for Christmas. We prayed for it, or we asked our parents. As we grew older, we felt ashamed to ask somebody. We may have continued to pray. And suddenly we realized, okay, let me change prayer with manifesting. And now I started to train my mind to fulfill my desires. I'm doing the same thing. When I was a kid, I was praying for a toy. Now as an adult, I'm fine-tuning my mind. Every 2-3 years, the neuroscience changes. And now we say that, okay, 7 seconds, say it loud. Write it, say it loud. Close your eyes, manifest it. It was the same like a kid. I was praying. I was asking somebody for something. Now I'm asking my mind to fine-tune in a particular way. Right. I'm still using it for wish fulfillment. I don't know who I am, but I want certain things in my life. Mm-hmm. And as long as everybody realizes that now, if you can teach it as mind training without going into the esoteric domain of spirituality, why cheapen spirituality? In my opinion, some things in life should be done for no purpose. When we were kids, we played not because we wanted to become world famous athletes, or we sang just for kicks, and that was so beautiful. As soon as you start doing it for some purpose, it kind of cheapens it. Van Gogh was so beautiful because nobody cared for him when he was painting. If he was painting for us, it would not have that same grandeur. Something in life, for me, it's meditation. It should be done for no purpose. Of course, it has some benefits, but that's not why you do it. When I try to sort of get something from it, it cheapens the whole art.
I understand exactly what you're saying, because that awareness actually came to me a couple of days ago, and when I catch myself, praying or surrendering to Creator, I feel that maybe there is a purpose behind it, but you're right. And then suddenly the awareness came yesterday, and it was just exactly that. So that's probably what I needed to hear. So thank you so much for that gentle reminder. But you take people to a lot of these retreats all over the world. Whether it's Bali or whether it's right now the Kumbh Mela, I believe, and Kailash and Mansarovar, and all these journeys. Why do you choose the places that you do? Do you choose them because of the significance of religion? Because I understand that you prefer to move outside of those paradigms of like your belief systems, or is it because they're just high energy spots? What would be your perspective?
Just for the adventure, because do I believe that taking a dip in a river will give me liberation? No, I don't. But I absolutely love seeing the yogis in the Sangam. I cannot see them in day-to-day life. In day-to-day life, I see the same, with globalization, everybody is saying the same things, doing the same things. To see somebody from a different paradigm. If I go to like Kailash, just to be there, the adventure of being in a place without any expectations. I don't think that it's going to change me in the way that the scriptures have said, but it will change me from the perspective that when I'm old, I'll say, that day I walked around that mountain. It's for that adventure. And I thoroughly enjoy, if I go to Varanasi, I love walking those roads. It reminds me, like when I go to Jerusalem or I go to Varanasi, just beautiful to be in an ancient place. Right. I don't have the belief, but I have the respect for people who have the belief. When I see an old lady in reverence, I feel so lovely that, wow, something very beautiful about that lady. There is at least half an hour in her life where she's doing something that is not selling me anything or not, doing something of just something so beautiful. I love seeing that, which you don't see in many places in the world.
Yeah, that's true. And as we said earlier, that often emotional breakdowns can be breakthroughs.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who's currently experiencing a lot of chaos in their lives, who probably is struggling to see the bigger picture?
Yeah, the one thing is to embrace that. And also, once you decide that that's it, I don't want to be suffering. See, a lot of the times we like that. There's a reason why heartbreak took me a couple of years, because some way or the other I was enjoying being in that trip. What if? And the moment you decide that that's it, I don't want this, it'll drop. We go around in circles. We go to so many healers, this, that. We don't confront the fact that it's going on in my mind. And I can drop it whenever I want to. But I want somebody, I enjoy the merry-go-round of the spiritual healing and so on and so forth. The moment you decide that's it, I don't want it anymore. Yes, the remnants will be there. Every now and then you may think of something, but it won't affect you emotionally the way it will when you're allowing it to. So if there's somebody going through a bit of turmoil, first make a decision. Do you enjoy it? If you enjoy it, please go on. But if you realize that you don't enjoy it, the decision is the transformation. Then whatever modality you choose, it's got nothing to do with the modality. It's got to do with your decision. So you decide that you want to write a note, throw it in a fire. You want to go in and do a kirtan. You want to go and do hypnosis, whatever you do, your decision healed you. Modality just facilitated.
So, who has been your source of inspiration? Any books, any teachers, any sort of practices that you have had a calling towards?
So many years ago, I lived with my guru for 7 years, and the only reason I stayed was I could see this person is present all the time. So around a teacher, you don't go for learning techniques. You go to see what makes this person tick. Comes from a different paradigm than me. From the moment he's awake to the moment he's sleeping, he's always present. So you go to watch. So that he was very inspiring for me, Bharat Thakur. Apart from that, I've really liked people I like Jiddu Krishnamurti very much. I like the way he articulates, the charm, the sarcasm with which he articulates. I like the fact that he left no system. I've liked many people over the years. I've liked the way Osho communicates. And apart from that, I like a lot of musicians, the way they are able to hit a chord without preaching. So when you listen to anybody, it can be from Ravi Shankar to Zakir Hussain, who passed away recently, they're tapping into something beyond words, and I like that very much.
Yeah, I went to a Coldplay concert recently, and I don't even like concerts. And I was, a friend of mine encouraged me to go, and I went because, like other friends of mine really wanted to go. And I felt it was a very, very spiritual experience. That same weekend, there were 2 events in Dubai that were happening, and they just didn't call to me as much as a concert where Coldplay Chris Martin talks about, love, and he really taps into something through his music and lyrics that brings people together, keeps them, aspiring to believe in their best self, and, helps spread the word of love and unity. And I found that everybody comes together, no belief systems,
Correct.
And that was the most spiritual experience that I've had recently, actually. And it's not been on a yoga mat, and it's not been in a wellness center, and it's not been doing an online course, and it's not a retreat. So
Correct.
that's been an amazing experience. So I completely align with that, actually. Yeah. And any last words, if you could distill your philosophy into one mantra for someone who's going through an emotional storm, what would it be?
This too will pass. Never believe your own bullshit, because it too will pass. And later on, you'll smile back and say, oh, wow, what I thought was me heartbroken, suddenly overnight it's changed. And now that is so far behind. It could be anything that you're going through. To be fully involved with it, because once it leaves, you'll be involved in another trip that may not be emotional turmoil, but it will give you so much empathy. I empathize so much now because I never had any turmoil till when I had it. Now I can understand. It gives you such a deep understanding of life. It's very beautiful.
But do you feel you can apply that philosophy easily because you probably don't have a sense of deep attachment to things? Like, for example, maybe you're okay sleeping in a 1-room dorm, and whilst you may enjoy the pleasures of staying in a 5-star hotel, you're not attached to it. And it's your ability to remain unattached that gives you the opportunity and space to be able to so freely apply what you just said.
That it is, but at the same time, when you're heartbroken, whether you're in a dorm or whether you're in a palace. So the human experience doesn't change. It's just that, you come to terms with it. You decide that you want to drop that way of thinking, and it's 100% in your hands. But that decision is critical. And be honest, if you are enjoying suffering, then just be honest. The moment you realize that it's happening because you're enjoying it, you'll drop it.
Yeah, but the reason they're probably having that suffering is because they were attached to that partner, or they're attached to losing money, or they're attached to their child who's not behaving in a way that they would want them to behave. So it does come down to attachment, doesn't it?
It comes down to attachment. So once you drop the attachment to be happy, like the universe doesn't owe us anything, doesn't owe us the fact that we need to be happy. Once I drop the attachment to happiness, then I'm okay with my heartbreak, then it leaves me. I don't need to detach from the person. I need to detach from the idea that I ought to be happy every morning. That, I think, is more important. And then this ceases to be such a big issue. But, it's really fascinating that we speak about purpose. Nobody apart from our mind expects anything from purpose. The sun shines in me whether I have purpose or no purpose. It just allows me to feel a bit better about myself. If I drop the idea that I need to be happy today, then suddenly I realize that actually I prefer to be happy than to be depressed. As long as I am attached to the idea of happiness, when I'm not happy, I feel sad. I'm feeling sad with those thoughts because I remember a time when I didn't have those thoughts. But that is not my nature either. So even this changes like that changed. So the attachment to the happy space, if that drops, then I'm at peace with my heartbreak, and then the heartbreak drops.
But then what if you just find out, for example, like you have cancer, for example. Is it so easy to apply that because you attachment to living? You have to drop that?
I wouldn't know because I've not had. It's theoretical. I really wouldn't know. But on that point, there was this book that the cyclist, Lance Armstrong, had written. And in the first chapter, when he goes into the cancer ward, he meets a boy. And the boy says, actually, we are the lucky ones because the outside folks think they're not going to die. So, that was so beautiful.
Yeah, it's quite profound. Yeah. We act as if we're here forever and ever.
Exactly. So, I don't know the exact answer till I've not experienced it. But that book showed me that.
We're all going to. Absolutely profound. Any last thoughts, words?
I'd like to thank you so much, Soniyaa. I mean, it's so beautiful to reconnect over after such a long time as well, and to see the work that you're doing. I like the work that you're doing in Dubai. I travel the world, and I like Dubai very much because people are honest. Everybody knows why they are here. Everybody comes to make a life and a living. I find in the so-called spiritual places of the world, people are super confused. Whereas here, there's clarity, and with that clarity, then there's also the spiritual side. So what you're doing in Dubai is stunning, and this is the place where it should be done.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom. And for those of you who enjoyed this wonderful episode, please subscribe, share it with your friends. And thanks for tuning in. So until next time, take care, be well, and live light. Thanks for tuning in to the Illuminations Podcast. We love having you here. It is our mission to be a beacon of light on your journey towards conscious and mindful living. In our weekly episode, we bring you inspiring change makers in the field of spirituality, healing, personal growth, and wellness who share their insight and expertise so you can navigate your way to a happier, healthier, and more purposeful life.